Today, we're diving into a topic that feels like it's everywhere right now, AI. We see it in our phones, on social media, even sneaking into our everyday routines. But what does it really mean for us regular people? How is it being used? Where is it showing up? And are there dangers we should be paying attention to? We also have to talk about the bigger picture. How does AI impact the environment? Like many of you, we're curious, and today we're so excited because we are bringing on an amazing guest who will help bring us more clarity to AI. Well, Nicole, I feel like you and I have really been dying to do an episode on AI because I feel like everyone else, we ask each other questions every day of the importance of it. Why do we have it? Do we really need it? And I'm so excited because I feel like after this episode, we're going to have a lot of answers to our questions.
No, I completely agree. I've been wanting to do this and to speak with an expert because I see so many things on social media, kind of on the news, but more just reading different memes, watching reels, seeing people's posts. And I'm just hearing so many different things about AI, especially that it's not eco-friendly. And so then I'm like, wait, this is destroying our planet. And I just want to dive in and understand it more and understand the pros and the cons and how to use it in a productive way or in a way where it's, yes, bettering me as an entrepreneur or wherever else it fits into my life, but that I'm also still being a good human to Mother Nature and on this planet. And I think we all have a lot of questions. I feel like AI came up really fast and has taken over a lot. And we're just told to download these apps with no repercussions or knowing nothing. So I'm a ChatGPT user. I use ChatGPT. I've used it for things.
Yep.
But I never think about, one, where's my information going?
For sure.
2, what am I opening up into my life and on my phone? And then 3, how much water am I using every time I ask it a question? Now, I don't use it a lot. I've only used it a few times. But what am I doing to the environment?
No, I agree. And I think like everyone else, when it first came out, everyone was like, this is a really great business tool. And for some reason, my brain couldn't comprehend it at first. I'm like, wait, what? And I think like a lot of people at first, I'm like, AI, is it a robot? And when I was in Bentonville, I got to see John Doerr speak. And so he's a huge venture capitalist. He's an investor. I mean, he's been connected to Steve Jobs. I mean, so many different things. But he was saying I went to his speaking event and he was like talking like, if you do not use AI properly, it is dangerous. And I'm thinking, dangerous? Like, what do you mean?
It's scary.
Yeah, but then I kind of felt like after that weekend, I'll go do more research and see, but I'm just someone who doesn't really use AI in my life. But it is funny because I'll hear people make jokes like, oh, ChatGPT got me through college or this or that. And where I'm excited to talk to our guest today is at what point do you stop relying heavy on AI giving you the answers and you actually need to figure them out for yourselves? Like, where is it an advantage and where is it a disadvantage? Because I know, like, coming from my era, and I know I sound like an old folk in a way, but we didn't have all these things, these tools that people have at their fingertips. But I do think it made us stronger. It made us work harder. I do see, and I'm not just saying this, I do see all around the different, generations in the work ethic. And at some point, we do need to know survival skills. I mean, how many times has there been power outages? And if your phone's not even charged, you're screwed. Mm-hmm. So that means you can't go ChatGPT if your phone's dead, or you can't go. So there's times where I'm thinking to myself, where is this going? And like, is it healthy, or is this just once again a convenience for us that is not only, I feel like, sometimes damaging our mental abilities, but also the planet?
Well, and how many jobs is it taking away from actual human beings is what I'm curious about as well. What I love about our generation is that if technology was to go away, we would still know how to live. We would still know how to make money. We would still know how to get from A to Z. There'd be no hesitation or stress in that way. And I feel bad with the generations behind us. They have relied heavily on the internet. Now think of this new generation on AI. Like, think of their survival skills. AI can't give you that. But I agree with you. And AI has been a huge reason why I rarely post Mateo. Now, I already have stuff out there of him. And I post him every now and then. And I even ask his dad a lot, like, please just like don't post him as much. But because of AI, you see all that stuff with children, that scares me. How they could just take our child's image and do all those things with it to trick us or to do whatever. Like, I hate that. And that stuff is like so scary to me. And they could do that with ours.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy I'm like, wait, I didn't do that. And then I look close and I go, oh my God, that's an AI image of myself that I get tagged in.
It is. I feel like there needs to be stronger laws with a lot of it, but
a lot of restrictions.
Yeah. But I also am like,
but then there's a lot of great things about it. I have to say, it's given me great ideas for business. When I was doing my Oscar match, I asked it. Now, we ended up not using these moves, but I was just curious, like, hey, if you were to take Nikki Bella and you have Oscar, what are some good transitions into these? I was like writing false finishes and doing these different spots. It came up with great ideas.
Yeah, but see, this is where I get nervous of like, it's taken away of like people's, not using that, but like natural, like us sitting and having to be bored and not overstimulated and actually think and get creative.
Well, so that's why I didn't even end up pitching it, because I'm like, I'm not going to tell my producer like, oh, hey, so ChatGPT gave me this idea. I was like, I'm not even going to throw those ideas out there, and I haven't done it since, because I felt the same. There's nothing like when we know a moment and we feel it and we know our own story of what we can do. But I'm not going to lie, it gave me great ideas. It gave me incredible transitions, and it's also crazy where they know where to get things from. Like, they perfectly knew who Fearless Nikki is, her past journey, where she is now, and who Oscar is, and how this would be an epic moment.
Yeah. I mean,
and how does it do it that fast?
Well, that's the thing, is supposedly these generators are working so hard in these facilities, and they're using a lot of water to cool them down. And that's why you're starting to see the environmental impact. And that's why I'm excited to talk to our expert today, because I'm very interested in that part. And I also feel like, when I was in Arizona and we were headed out to the casino, I passed this like huge warehouse style building. I'm like, ooh, what is that? And they're like, oh, that's like where AI like monitors at or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this look right here cannot take over the world.
What did it look like?
Just like a very big box, square, like, but humongous. Like, there's no beauty to it. There's no, it's not. And I go, we can't like not live in this dimension. We can't forget that we're like human connections and feel in touch. We can't like get lost in technology. We just can't.
Well, I feel like, when they say it's the end of human race, like, you can't help but like kind of not believe it.
I don't know.
But it is crazy when you drive through San Francisco and like all the billboards are all different AI companies.
Everyone's AI.
Every time I drive from Napa to San Francisco to the airport, you drive right through the city off Bay Bridge, and you're like, oh, wow. And actually, on one of my recent flights, I sat next to someone who started an AI company. She was brilliant. She actually gave me incredible advice about parenting and all these different things. Our wine, like, it was on my way to Milwaukee when I had to stop through Salt Lake City, and she was actually headed to a convention with women entrepreneurs, like top entrepreneurs. And she was incredible, but it is crazy to me when you drive through San Francisco and I'm like, whoa, I didn't even realize there was so many AI companies. I mean, I'll admit, in the very beginning, I just thought AI was like one thing, like its own thing, right?
Me too.
I didn't realize oh wait, everyone can have their own AI or start their own AI company.
X Games, they tried to do this one AI for one of the competitions, but they like created it like to measure and it was called like OWL, I think.
Oh, that's weird.
But like it's interesting. Everyone does have their own. But this is my thing. Do you think like if you're not keeping up with AI, you're gonna have FOMO or JOMO?
JOMO.
Joy of missing out, right?
Look, how a lot of things are nowadays,
Major
I
JOMO.
really have major JOMO. I don't know if it's being in my 40s. I don't know what it is, but
I know what it is. Overstimulation. You do not want to be
I
overstimulated.
don't want to be overstimulated. And I love breathing fresh air. And I like eating good food that I know is like not killing me. And I want simple things. And I want to see my son be raised in this incredible man. And I want to do little things for anti-aging, but I'm also really content in aging. And like, one day I would love how people will talk about their husbands on Reels. Hopefully I will share that with someone. But I truly am more in the space now of JOMO than FOMO, because like I look at like festivals or this or that. I don't miss out on any of that. It is really weird how like protective of my energy, my surroundings. I'm so happy in life, and I really enjoy my group, my tribe, my little life here in Napa.
The greatest feeling you can have is being satisfied, because I feel like we're in a place right now where we just want better, 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 more, more, more. And we're using natural resources for all of it. And no one's thinking about the consequence of it.
You know what I would love at one point, and I'll never have this one point, but
You might.
maybe.
Can't wait to hear it.
But to ask some of the super wealthy and powerful people, like, when is it? Yeah. And do you ever stop to think like how you're affecting the environment or what you're doing for like the future generations? I would just love to hear what they say. Like, yeah, and I don't give a shit. Or, oh, well, you know what I mean? I would just kind of like love to know, is there a moment where like the human in you and your heart, you're just like, man, like maybe this is enough, or this maybe wasn't good, or nothing. Right. I don't know. Wouldn't you be curious to know?
I would be curious. I do think, yeah, I'd be curious. Yeah.
But I'm excited for us to bring on our guest. As you all can tell, Brie and I have a lot of questions. I even feel like we're asking each other questions and we don't know the answers to that.
And we have mixed feelings.
And that's why we are so excited to welcome today's guest, Eddie Pinto. So Eddie is head of product at PlanSource, where he's focused on bringing AI into everyday tools that millions of people use at work. He has more than 20 years in HR tech and has been featured in outlets like Morning Brew and HR Executive. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Eddie's passion is making AI simple, useful, and human. Very interesting.
Yeah.
He brings a real perspective on how it shows up in daily life, from family life to the future of work.
Eddie, welcome to the Nikki and Brie show.
Yes.
We are so excited to have you on today.
Hey, I'm super stoked to be here too.
Okay, so I feel like we
just got to get into it, because we have so many questions, and then we start to ask each other, and we're like, why are we even asking each other? We don't know. And a lot of our listeners have sent in questions, because I feel like so many of us think we understand AI, and then we start to ask these questions. We're like, wait, we don't understand it at all. Right. We know that it could be great, but then we hear these other things. So it's like, let's ask an AI expert.
Yeah. And it's interesting, Eddie, because I feel like a lot of times we hear AI is a great business tool, but if it's not used properly, it can be dangerous. And every time I hear that, I think to myself, dangerous? Like, what does that mean? And so can you clear it up for us when someone says that? What do they truly mean?
Yeah, there's an interesting kind of, labeling of the term AI. If I start from the top, it's sometimes marketing kind of leads with new technologies. And so I think fundamentally, if we start with an understanding of just broadly speaking, what is AI? In a lot of ways, it's inescapable in our day-to-day lives. And so it's good to know kind of where is it being used and how is it being used. So I like to think of AI as a spectrum. And in that spectrum, there's different risks with each of those different types of AI. So on the very left of the spectrum, you've got things like your TikTok algorithm, your Netflix homepage, where AI is just feeding you content. It's subtly nudging you towards something. Now, the risk there is, do you want to have your brain filled with things that somebody else has decided your brain needs to be filled with? Now, for the most part, Netflix algorithm might be innocuous. It's intended to show you things that you would like. TikTok algorithm, same thing. It's not being designed to be malicious to the best of anyone's knowledge, but the risk there is, do you really want to have your time consumed watching content that is just fed by an algorithm? And so we focus on what do we do about that risk, like how do we actually kind of get away from that. I've got a friend who will not open up TikTok and let that first video on their For You page play. They'll click over to the followers page and they only watch videos from the people that they're following. That's taking control. It's not letting AI control your eyeballs and your mind share. It's actually kind of taking control back. So different people have different levels of control that they want to have with something like that, but it's really up to you. Do you want to have the algorithm be the basis for what you're doing with your evenings? So that's like on the left end of the spectrum. In the middle of the spectrum is AI as a feature within a broader service or within a broader product. And so that's everything from your Tesla full self-driving, where if you pull down on the stalk, it's going to drive for you, but you don't need to actually have it drive for you. It works as a perfectly good car without having full self-driving mode. And so what is your level of comfort with full self-driving? How comfortable are you with, if it messes up even 1 in 1,000 times, like that might be a fatal accident? That's the type of risk there. And so I personally have full self-driving on my wife's car. She uses it all the time. She's a big believer in it. 100% says it's amazing. I last used it 3 years ago. It was the most harrowing thing I did, because the whole time I was there, I was just like, no, turn now, turn now. And so
Yeah.
for me, I just need to be in control a little more. And so for me, that's something I don't want to do. And so that's another place where you kind of decide, if you have a product that you have that has AI features, do you want to use those features or not? What is your own comfort level? And that may not be just a function of the AI itself, but it may be just how comfortable you feel handing control over.
I mean, I have to, like, for me, I feel like that I didn't even actually kind of think of it, that you could take your own control.
Right. Well, and then that we're also already surrounded by so much AI, whether it's our choice or not. So I'm someone who streams on platforms. I didn't realize like it's already, that homepage is like pretty much AI generated and like leading me a certain way. Or with social media, I always thought it was just like going to ChatGPT and asking it questions. I didn't realize like how much it lives around us. Or even I have an electric car and it has like some of those features. So that's crazy to me that I just didn't realize like how much it lives around us. And one thing I've noticed a lot as of late too, and I don't know if this comes from surroundings that we don't even realize, but I get a lot of text messages about surveys or jobs or just really random things. And I'm like, where's this coming from? Like, what did I get on that? Like, I'm getting fed all these things just straight to my phone without accepting terms and
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like you
restrictions and all that.
say you're having a conversation with someone, you talk about, oh, I need to get my kids' shoes, and next time you're having ads of kids' shoes pop up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this interesting kind of psychological principle of where like we make those connections, right? Like I had just had this conversation, and now I'm getting served up this ad. Like people in the industry who you talk to about that, they would swear up and down that they're not listening. Your phone is not a bugging device. It's not fully listening to you all day long. But what it's doing is it's aware of your search history. It's aware of what other people around you in your network are doing. And it's using that to say, if somebody else has this type of suitcase, then they like that suitcase because they gave it a 5-star review online, or they spent $800 on a suitcase. They're going to start talking about it because they need to justify having made that purchase. So they're going to talk to their friends about it. So now people in their network start to see ads for the suitcase. It's just a coincidence that that conversation has happened. That's what people on the inside would tell you in the ad industry. I believe them. I don't think my phone is listening to me, but I know
Yeah.
people who will not trust it because it's just so uncanny that the
Yeah.
ads that they see are exactly what they're seeing, or they're talking to their friends about. Um,
Wow. Well, that's kind of good to know because I always thought that. I'm like, they're listening, and
Uh-huh.
that's how we get these. Well, I have a question for you. With your expertise, what would you say is a simple way of using AI that can like make our lives better? Like, is there specific apps or what would be your suggestions?
Yeah, I've got a few examples of where I see people who are just starting out, just kind of thinking about, the audience that we have. There's people at all levels of AI proficiency. There's folks who probably haven't used something like ChatGPT, and there's also folks who kind of use it every day. And so, starting from the very baseline, somebody who hasn't used one of these AI applications like ChatGPT or like Gemini, just downloading that to your phone. And the next time you want to do a Google search for something, try ChatGPT or try Gemini instead. And just the fact that you get answers there, they're cited, it's kind of summarizing what you would have seen in a web search, where you'd have to click into each of those links on the homepage. Let's say you're researching something, you're not sure which vitamin to buy or whatever it is. Wouldn't you rather just be able to, I like to think of it as talking to a friend who can kind of summarize stuff for you, super simple. You can actually tell it, explain it to me like I'm five. And it won't use really complex words. It'll try and make it really simple without talking down to you. And then it'll provide you with links to actual sources. And so, as opposed to having to go and read different articles, you can basically tell it to summarize for you what would take an hour. Now you get to read in probably a minute or two.
Yeah.
Now,
See,
and
that's amazing. I have Chat GPT, and not only have I used it in my companies, but recently I had a health question and I was like, wait, I should ask Chat. So I went and asked, and it was crazy what it gave me and and certain remedies. And it worked. I wish I could remember exactly what. I'm sure I could ask it because I always tell it to save things. But I was like, oh my gosh, why am I not doing this more for like health questions, either about my son or myself?
is there any type of flaw where it can give you misinformation, or is it pretty much, and I don't know, I never read the small print, so maybe it says that in there, but because I feel like people are very much hanging on to every single information they get from it.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is the AI models have the companies behind the AI models have been working really hard to stop what used to be more prevalent around hallucinations, as they were called, where the AI models are trained to never say I don't know, and so they will overconfidently just give you an answer that may not actually be 100% true. And so a lot of what you see now is that when it's giving you an answer, it's giving you links and citations to the sources. And so I always say click on some of those, just make sure that it's summarizing accurately. But for the most part, that issue is starting to kind of be less and less prevalent, to where I myself, unless it just doesn't sound right, I'm not going to double check everything. I think there's a higher bar now. I think it also goes back to just what is the ask that I have and what's the level of risk that I have around it. Some of the other examples
Yeah.
of kind of use cases, if we go down kind of how to think about, if you're a user of ChatGPT, like one interesting thing that I saw was I for years have thought that I have a diamond shaped face. Someone told me I have a diamond shaped face. I don't know what that means. I thought it was cool. And I was like, you know what?
That is
I'll,
cool.
yeah. And so anytime I go to one of those sunglass websites and they ask for your face shape or whatever, and they recommend sunglasses, I'm like, diamond. Um, I take a selfie, I put it in the chat GPT. It says you got an oval face. First of all, I was, not very happy about that. Oval doesn't sound as cool, but I actually found sunglasses.
That's
I
hilarious.
think I'm an oval if that makes you feel better.
Me
Thank you.
too.
Me
Yes,
too.
I think so.
thank you. Um, from there, my wife was like, "Yeah, you don't know about the photo thing." I was like, "No." She was like, "Well, take a photo of yourself in natural light and ask for a skincare routine." Now, my skincare routine used to be just wake up in the morning and splash some water on my face, and I felt like that was good enough. But I did do the thing, it gave me a lot of steps. I decided not to take any of those steps because I like my own face, but it seemed like it had a lot there, and my wife swears by it. So as you kind of go down that path, I think there's like, more and more you can do with it once you realize the camera unlock that provides you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Eddie, that's exactly what I'm going to do now when we get off. I'm going to go in daylight. I'm going to take a photo. I've never thought of that, to be like, help a girl out with anti-age, and like, what would you suggest as products?
Yeah, but do you have any fears at all that we're moving so fast with technology that to have so many of our questions answered so quickly on these apps, like, do you at all think, like, when you see all of us in our generations and how we grew up, like, you had to work really hard to find an answer to a question, or we had to look at 17 different resources to get that one conclusion. Like, is there any fear that you have that we're going to lose that technique?
I think that, yeah, I face this challenge every day with my daughter. She's 12, and she's at that age where she's figured out that she can just take a photo of her homework, and it can, chat can give her the answer. And so
Wow.
what we've been really focused on in kind of making sure that she learns how to think, is that we'll tell her when it's fine to use chat to get your homework help. Oftentimes it's better than asking dad and him trying to remember what he did in school 40 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably going to be a more reliable answer too, but that's probably not the best outcome, like to have all your questions answered. So I think right in line with what you were talking about, the risk here is you lose the ability to think. You lose the ability to have those questions that you are able to kind of logically follow a train of thought and get the answers to. And so we've given her one rule with AI use is don't just ask for the answer, ask for hints. It's something that Googling we learned is called a Socratic method, where you tell ChatGPT only to tell you answers using the Socratic method. So it basically asks you questions like Socrates would have to help you get to the answers. And so you take a photo of the homework question you need help with, and you say, use the Socratic method to help me understand how to solve this. And it won't give you the answer right away. It won't say, this is the math answer. It'll tell you, well, think about this. And you say, well, I don't understand that. Then it takes a step back and kind of explains it to you. And so using that method, what we found is, I tell you what, it's a lot better than me, who for 40 years has not really thought about that math problem, trying to be like, I don't know, kiddo, just, try it this way. So, yeah.
No, I love that, because at first when you were explaining, I'm like, wait, okay, AI's made some things easier, but now it sounds like it's made parenting harder. But now when you explain that method, I'm like, actually, wait, that might save some people money on tutors. Or just like you said, even my son, who's obsessed with the planet and obsessed with countries and world flags, there'll be some things they ask me and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm quickly trying to Google, because I'm like, shoot, which one is it? And is Pluto still a planet, or what, like, I'm just, it is crazy how of course we forget things over time, and you want to teach your kids the correct things. But I really enjoy that method. And, I wanted to ask this, and we got onto this topic, but when we were talking about chat, in your industry, how does it make you feel when people are starting to use ChatGPT, where they're bored and they want to have photos, like, oh, here's me and this person, I just want to see what that looks like, or is just using it for nonsense,
like for fun, for leisure?
but they're just like bored? Even is it for fun? I don't know.
I think that there's this cycle where the skills that you learn in play end up being used in the real world, in like really practical applications. And so me and my wife were goofing off with Gemini, the Google AI, the Google version of chat. They launched something new a couple of weeks ago called Nano Banana. It's just a funny name, but it's basically a really good image generation model where you can upload a photo of yourself to Gemini. You toggle on Nano Banana mode, And you can say, imagine me as, I'm making it up, a pirate sailing the high seas or whatever it is, right? And it creates a really good, like, photorealistic version of that. And so we're
Wow.
just playing around with it, we're just goofing off. But then when we actually need like a practical application, like one of my cousins, he's just, graduating from college, he doesn't have professional headshots. That gets me thinking, hey, hold on, we could have him use Gemini and Nano Banana to basically create a professional headshot for his LinkedIn. So there's a level at which, you want to encourage that play. You want to kind of just,
Okay.
like, see what capabilities exist, because there's always going to be some real world application for that. Maybe not always, but for the most part, it's going to spur some level of creativity that will translate into the workplace too.
Okay. And with that, and before we get into our listener questions, because we want to
Well,
get
I have
into
one more
that.
after.
Yeah. But when you talk about that, because, one thing that started to really pique Bree and I's interest is we started to hear about what AI does to the environment. And is
Yeah.
that what you're going to ask? And so, what are your thoughts on that? Because we hear, put what it was, it Bree, like
Well, a lot of water use to cool down the systems. So I saw a headline talking about it. It was either Iowa or
some
Idaho,
town, right?
something about the river. The fresh water was being used to cool down AI systems, and I was kind of like, oh, I didn't know about this. But what is the en- environmental impact that AI is doing?
Yeah. So I've got some bad news, I've got some good news, and I've got most of all just hope
Yeah.
around this, and not just specific to AI, but the broader kind of just the broader environmental challenge that we have, and AI actually solving for it. So here's the bad news to start us off with. Each question you ask ChatGPT, it uses the same amount of energy as leaving a 60-watt light bulb on for about 15 to 20 seconds. Now, what does that mean? Like, how much is that? Compare it to a Google search. A Google search takes up about 100 to 1,000 times less energy. And so these are significantly higher uses of energy. ChatGPT and Gemini and all the other AI models, there's just a lot more data processing happening there. So that's the bad news.
Mhm.
The good news is, if you look at the trend line of over time, that energy use number is actually going down per question asked. So OpenAI, if you look at their prior model to their current model, there's been a 10x reduction in energy
Wow.
used per question. Google, with their Gemini models, have gotten, they claim, 33 times more efficient in the last 12 months. Those are significant numbers if they're to be believed. And these are organizations that have a vested interest in making that energy use cheaper, because for the most part they're not charging, or they're charging a nominal fee, so they have to figure out how to make it cheaper. So that's some bad news, some good news, a little more bad news, and then we'll get to the hope part of the program. The bad news, to kind of couple with the fact that these things are getting way more efficient, is that more and more people are using these models. Uh, ChatGPT, there's 700 million weekly users. That just boggles my mind. That's like worldwide double the population of the US is using ChatGPT alone every single week. And they're just one of the models. If you kind of add it all up, it's probably, way more than that. Um, so with that increase in number of people that are using these models, you've got higher and higher energy use, even though per question they're getting more and more efficient. So that's, net net, you'd have to assume that if you kind of do the math on it, we're probably using a lot of energy, and that number is going up at a steady rate as well. So that's kind of where we are right now. Here's the case for hope. These hyperscalers, these large companies, they are signing power purchase agreements for clean, renewable energy. And this is really fueling a search for new sources of either carbon neutral or clean power. Things like small modular nuclear reactors, things that, there were startups that were focused on these technologies, but they were very niche. They were struggling to find the investment that they need to really make these things happen at scale. Well, now you've got that juxtaposed with these organizations that need a lot of power, and that's the only way to get to it, is to have these clean sources of energy. So what it's leading to is this world where you actually have funding for clean renewable energy, and you have commitments from these companies. For example, Google has said that they intend to be carbon neutral with their AI by the year 2030. That's 5 years out. I mean, they are actively working towards that. So that's the
Great.
case for hope. Right now, we're in the stage in that cycle where there is a lot of energy use. There's a 15th of a teaspoon of water used per question that you ask ChatGPT. That's water that's evaporating from some town somewhere that probably doesn't have like a huge water supply. And so they're looking to find ways to kind of move to places that don't have that problem. But we're in the part of the cycle where we haven't solved the problem yet, but there's a lot of hope on the horizon.
Oh, I love
Amazing.
hope.
I love hope. And, going into one of the first questions, and I feel like this kind of just answered her question, was
From a fan.
from a listener. Is there other ways to cool down the machines that power AI other than the harmful way? And I feel like that kind of just answered it, is hopefully in the future, but not right now.
Yeah, there's ways that are way more expensive and have their own downsides. And so the reason they're using water is because it's the most efficient way right now. The offset there is if they used another method, they would be using way more energy, and you'd have a bigger problem of coal-fired power plants or whatever it is that's kind of driving the energy. So future state, they'll have more of the ability to kind of recycle the water, or have these data centers located in places that don't have the water problem, because it's going into the environment. It's not disappearing from Earth entirely. It's
Right.
just how does it stay part of the water cycle in the area.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
be smart when you're chat
Yes.
GPT.
Think about the water intake, guys.
Yeah. A smart question.
Another listener asked, is it dangerous if we send a photo of ourselves on ChatGPT?
That is a great question from the Bella Army, I must say. We haven't talked about risks at all. Um, there, like I'd say, in general, there are settings with each of the AI models that by default are turned on, that um, are probably not what people want. And so the one that I think of is, do you want to allow the information that you share, or do you want the questions that you're asking to be used to train our models? And if you think about it, the only way to train the model is to actually for it to consume what you have asked and the answers and information that you've shared to make the model smarter. And so if by default that's across every one of the AI tools that are out there, the ones that I've looked at, all of them have that as the default. Now you can turn it off. You go into Gemini and you have to turn off the chat history in there. You can go into Claude and say, I do not want my information used to train the models. But by default, it is using your information unless you've turned that setting off. And so there is a very real risk there. That's something that you're sharing. It might be, something like your photo, if you don't want it to be uploaded, or you're sharing some other personal information. Just be smart about it. I tend to just turn on the temporary chat feature, even if I'm sharing something that I don't feel comfortable being out there. And even with that, there's still just a level of trust that you have to have. Like, do you want to actually put your information out there?
Wow.
Wow. That's great to know.
Yeah. I had zero idea.
Zero, right? Another listener asked, are there protections for reality TV and AI, residuals, et cetera? Which I feel like this has been like a really big topic in the entertainment industry where people feel like they're getting replaced by AI.
Yeah, it's a open, there's still active, like it's an actively evolving space. OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, announced a couple of weeks ago that they're looking to release their first full-length feature film that's all AI, like
Wow.
100% AI. It's these cute little woodland creatures too. They have like a short film out there version of it. Me and my daughter were looking at it and we were like, this is adorable. But at the
Oh,
same time, what is that displacing, right? I mean, there's actual actors and there's the art of, illustration, all those
Yeah.
things that kind of get replaced. So these are real things that are kind of in an evolving space right now. I think that the coming weeks and months will kind of tell us where that goes, where it ends up going, because at the end of the day, what are these models serving? Like, towards what end? Like, yes, it might be, we might get to a place where it's cheaper to have AI content that you consume, but at what cost? And so I think, it's something that there'll probably be some twists and turns around over time, but right now it's still an unsolved problem.
And they
Yeah.
don't see, I mean, does it make anyone feel like it's going to be taking over jobs, or is AI something that it's opening up jobs because of all the different apps and the different technology it is bringing?
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, the line that got often repeated by the industry thought leaders in AI was, AI is not going to come for your job, but somebody who uses AI is going to have the job, and so you need to learn AI. I think that tide has started to shift now. Dario, the leader of one of the large AI hyperscalers, um, came out last week and said that he sees AI replacing some of the entry level jobs that were out there before. It's a very real concern, because if a lot of what AI can do right now is on par with some of the more tactical parts of what a knowledge worker, what an entry level knowledge worker does, then if you stop hiring those entry level knowledge workers and you live in a future world where there's a fleet of agents that gets onboarded as opposed to a group of new hires, how do you grow people into those next roles? How do you get the kids coming out of school those jobs that kind of they learn the industry in? So it's a very real problem. I think we're still grappling with that, and it's one of the biggest challenges right now with what this means. I think, going back to the case for hope, though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you've seen there's this photo from, I don't know, this the 60s or something, whenever it is, but it's these teachers outside of school holding these, like, signs up like ban the calculator or whatever, right? It's like, hey, uh, if we let calculators into the school, it's going to be the end of everything. And
Mhm.
so I think these things, if you look through history, there's this ebb and flow where we have some new unlock that leads to some unintended consequences, and then we figure out as a society what to do about it, because
Yeah.
ultimately that's the thing that we need to figure out. And so I have confidence, I have hope, I'm an optimist, but I think that we'll figure it out. But right now we're in that part of the in that fuzzy period.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, I already am like, wait, if they wanted to take those entry level jobs, well, when I think then of the environment, I'm like, well, these companies should actually have to pay big money for an AI to be an entry level job. Like, not get a freebie, but like if you're going to use so much water and power, whatever it might be, you have to pay
Using,
for
yeah.
that or put restrictions on it or laws. And I bet that will come. There was one last question and then we'll get into some inspiration affirmation to wrap it up. Ashley asked, how can it help us slow down our day to day lives? I want to delegate to AI. So, yeah.
That's that is a great question. I think if I think about my own kind of work life, AI is probably saving me 4 hours a week right now.
Wow.
If I kind of
Yeah.
compare to what it was like a couple of years ago, everything from helping me with calendar scheduling to summarizing emails. I think these are tools that people, no matter what you do, you can kind of think about what's taking up the most time in your day that feels like it's the least value added. There are things that probably take up time that you enjoy doing. If you like doing the crossword, don't have AI do the crossword for you. But
Mhm.
if you actually do not enjoy something, like if you are just trying to dabble in the stock market and you want, you spend an hour every day trying to understand what's happening with individual stocks or whatever it is, it's easy enough to have a prompt that runs for you every day that summarizes the last day's news for a set of companies that you have on your watch list. So as opposed to you having to read all of those, it basically summarizes key trends and you can have it go into the level of detail you want to. So it's a very nuanced question in terms of figure out, like write down, kind of do the homework for yourself of what is the thing that you find yourself having to do that you don't want to do. And then the meta way to do this is to ask AI how to take that work away from your day. So you're asking AI how it can help you, and then it will come up with ideas to actually save you time in your day.
I love that.
Yeah.
I actually like one, you've given me hope with the industry of AI, but also I'm like, okay, I am going to involve it a little bit more in my life, especially because I'm always a person of like, there's only a few things in life that can buy you time, right? Getting a nonstop flight, upgrading, and like, there's just things I'll think about of like, okay, this truly actually can buy me time in life. And that's one of the things, like thinking of, so I can be mindful about the environment, but where are things that I can bring in AI specifically to help me with balance, routine, and saving that little bit of time.
Yeah, definitely.
This has been so helpful. Like,
I know, Eddie. I
thank
feel
you
like we
so
could
much, Eddie.
pick your brain all day long.
I know, and it's such an interesting conversation, and it's just like I don't feel so in the dark about it anymore.
Well, and maybe
but-
we bring you back on, because I'm sure we have a lot of our listeners who are going to call the hotline 833 Garcia 2 and even ask more questions. So I feel like it'd be fun to bring you back on. But you know, we love to end our shows with a little inspiration, affirmation. Is there a quote or a motto that you live by?
Yeah. So I like to think about this. My family, we grew up in Australia throughout when I was young, and then I moved to India as a teenager, and I was struck by this quote, "Atiti Devo Bhava." It's a Sanskrit term which means treat the guest or treat the other as if they're God, and the rationale behind that is this: think about what a good place the world would be if everyone treated everyone else as if they were God. So the next time someone cuts you off in traffic, maybe they're, in a rush, maybe something's happening in their life, right? Just give them that grace. And so just living your life that way makes a huge difference, especially when you couple it with the second thing, which is mudita, which is the other one that I love, which is, how there's a word in English for like jealousy, like something happened, something good happened to that person. There's no opposite of that, right? There's no like, what's the term for, I feel joy because something good happened to this person. I can truly feel that joy because I know what they're feeling right now. Like they just aced their test, or they had something good happen to them. They just got that new car that they wanted to buy. They got the promotion. But try and feel that joy for the other person, and then couple that with treating everyone else as if they are God, and you'll just have a way happier time of it. You just won't find yourself being miserable and sad about things that you can't control, and you'll end up sleeping at the end of the day a lot better.
Gosh,
Oh, I love
so
that,
agree.
Eddie. And I completely agree. It's so true if we could just treat everyone that way, and also just makes you take a second and think about something.
I agree. In today's world, I feel like everyone treats each other as if it's their enemy. And so it would be nice to see everyone start to treat everyone like God, because I feel like we'd see a lot more love and kindness. That's for sure.
Yeah. And we would look within ourselves of, why am I reacting this way?
Right.
Why do I feel this?
Yeah. Well, expert AI Eddie, this has been incredible.
This has. Not only have you been informative, you hit us with some great inspiration. So we appreciate it so much, and taking the time as you are in Las Vegas. And please don't be a stranger. And thank you again for this. Oh, Bree's son's calling me. Yeah, babe.
God. He's homesick from school.
I love it.
1 second, bud. So, oh my gosh.
That's great.
Oh, he's running down. You better wrap it up.
Mom life.
Well,
thank you so much,
I've had
Eddie.
a lot of fun on here. Thanks a lot. Anytime y'all want me back, more than happy to do it.
Yeah, we'll love that
awesome.
for sure.
We love that so much.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can find videos of today's episode and other episodes of the Nikki and Brie Show on our YouTube channel and all our social platforms at The Nikki and Brie Show on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, you could hear the show too wherever you get your podcasts, but also we are on SiriusXM Stars 109, and you can call us at 833 Garcia 2.
Well, Brie, I have to say I learned a lot today.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah. Well, we will see you all next time.